Our engineer took care of that.
Put it here.
We got sound, we got video, we got
7:30.
HD.
Hey, you
Okay.
Are we good?
We're good.
I'm here just for
We
you.
got to sit in. I was on vacation. Sit down. Good.
Yeah, I saw you already.
Yeah, and I saw you last night. Oh, that didn't sound good.
You
You know what's happening? Hey, bye. See ya.
Okay.
Yeah.
Up, holding on. So you got your audio there?
Enough suits in this place.
Not dressed up.
I'm taking my time or something.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting has been duly advertised according to Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, the Sunshine Law. Roll call, please.
Mr. Wagner?
Here.
Mr. Julian?
Here.
Mr. Connor?
Here.
Dr. Maruli?
Here.
Mr. Peason?
Here.
Mr. Lapani?
Here.
Vice Chairman Cohen?
Here.
Committeeman Delcor?
Here.
And Chairman Dr. Cerisi.
Here. Next item, disposition of minutes. We have the minutes of the April 23rd meeting.
Mr. Chairman, the eligible members are Mr. Delcor, Dr. Maruli, yourself, Mr. Wagner, and Mr. Peason.
Is there a motion to adopt the minutes?
Motion to.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Wagner?
Yes.
Dr. Maruli?
Yes.
Mr. Peason?
Yes.
Delcor.
Yes. Committeeman Delcor?
Yes.
And Chairman Dr. Cerisi.
Yes. Next up, planning board business. We have a scheduling request for the June 25th meeting, which would be regularly a time for a business meeting. There is an applicant that's requesting to be heard where time is of the essence. And Marcia will give you some detail about the applicant.
This is an application called Amwell Commons, and the developer is, I think, RPM, and this was the site that was the township committee had done a redevelopment plan for this site. So I think you had looked at that over the past couple months. It's an affordable housing site, and that's what they're coming in for. The time is of the essence because they need to get planning board review and approval before, I think it was July 24th or 25th, so that they can be eligible for tax credits. At least that's my understanding. So this will give them time to be reviewed and heard by the board, and a resolution prepared if needed for them.
And this would be to build something that's part of our affordable housing plan. So this has been in the works for a while, and it's something that needs to get done for us to fulfill our plan.
Have we had second reading on the ordinance yet?
No, we just did the first.
That's what I
We did the
thought.
introduction on Tuesday.
And the second reading is sometime in June, is my
The first
recollection.
June meeting, June 9th, I believe, something like that.
All right, so it would be time.
So I guess we then have to, we don't have to adopt anything. It's already on our agenda as a meeting, just so that the board members are aware that we will hear this application on that meeting night, June 25th.
The plan is gone through.
Right, we've just got it
Okay.
yesterday or the day before.
That's also assuming the redevelopment ordinance has been adopted and isn't challenged.
Yep. Okay. Please poll attendance for 7/2. I mean, you want to know whether board members will be around July 2nd if we have to continue that hearing from June 25th. Is that it, Marcia? Will people be around? How many people, show of hands, will be around Thursday, July 2nd? tough because of 4th of July weekend.
Don't know.
Don't know?
I'll give you a half a hand.
Half a hand.
Neil, that's really not very funny.
Well, Sam is. That's poor taste. I
Yeah, it
apologize.
really is. Okay, so I think we'll have a quorum. Okay. Next, business from the floor for items not on the agenda. Seeing none. Next up is the extension of time for Glenn Gary. Is that right? So do we have to vote on that one?
Yes, please.
Okay, so they want an extension until July 31st.
Right, and the ability to come back to the board without renotice, which we had done before.
Yeah, I mean, we've been extending them for quite a while now, continuing and all of that. Okay, so I guess we would need a motion from the board to extend Glenn Gary until July 31st without further notice.
So moved. Second?
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Wagner?
Yes.
Mr. Julian?
Yes.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Dr. Maruli?
Yes.
Mr. Peason?
Yes.
Mr. Lupani?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Cohen?
Yes.
Committeeman Delcourt?
Yes.
And Chairman Dr. Sweet.
Yes. Next up, consideration of ordinances, and that long title is the zoning ordinance, which is for the East Amwell area, east of Town Center, and the establishment of the Gateway C zone, as well as changing some zone designations of other properties to Gateway A and transitional economic. So it was introduced at Township Committee.
Mr. Chairman, if the board will recall, as will you, this was discussed at the board's April 23rd business meeting and recommended to the governing body on Tuesday night, along with my boards, because I got to make the presentation that night, along with Mr. Delcourt. The Township Committee introduced the ordinance unanimously. It has been referred back to the board, as is required by law, to either accept, reject, or make further recommendations, and to send it back for second reading and hopeful adoption by the board in early June, I believe. There is only one change in the ordinance that was submitted by this board since it came back from the committee, and that is in section 7 of the ordinance. That was language asked for by the township attorney to be placed in the ordinance. I have reviewed same as well as the planning consultant. We have no problems with it. It has no real impact on the overall zoning issues. It's more a description of what was the basis for the ordinance in question. And you'll find it on page 19 of the document.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
The ordinance that the board reviewed last month, there was direction given to look at Mr. Lytle's property, which was lot 22, which we did do, and it had been inadvertently not included, and now it is included. We also reviewed for I don't know how many times, all of the lots, and there was some minor corrections on the lot numbers. So hopefully we're all set on that as well. So those, I think, were the only changes.
Good.
Did we adjust the clerical piece?
No, that's gonna for later action.
Okay.
I guess that would require another ordinance to do that. I don't know. Marcia said it's not necessary to do a subdivision, minor subdivision. You could have a lot in 2 zones. We could do that, particularly given the geographic barrier crossing the middle of the lot. That'll be for a later time.
You might have to do a minor master plan amendment.
Just a little tweak, really.
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. Any other discussion about the ordinance? Seeing none, a motion to recommend it back to the Township Committee for a public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Wagner?
Yes.
Mr. Julian?
Yes.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Dr. Maruli?
Yes.
Mr. Peason?
Yes.
Mr. Lupani?
Abstain.
Vice Chairman Cohen?
Abstain.
Committeeman Delcourt?
Yes.
Chairman Dr. Sweet.
Yes. Okay, the Glengarry public hearing, as you actually heard, is adjourned to July 9th, and as the board voted without further notice. So we'll see that on our July 9th meeting, and they were extended to July 31st, if you remember. So that leaves us with RETS Partners, LLC, file 15PB06SRV, Block 17802, Lot 421, formerly known as Block 178, Lot 21. This is the southwestern intersection of Route 206 and Raider Boulevard, across from the Walgreens Mall there. Applicants seeking preliminary and final major site approval and C-bulk variances for relief from front yard setback, and minimum lot size, minimum buffer area from a residential district, and some parking waivers to construct an 8,531 square foot childcare facility, Kitty Academy, with parking and improvements on property in the Gateway B district and also within the architectural and site design overlay zone. Counselor?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Alan Grant. I'm an attorney.
In the mic. Always speak in the microphone. Because even if you can, since you get close, you got to get close, so people at home can hear.
Sure. Again, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name is Alan Grant. I'm an attorney with and senior partner with the law firm of Morrow, Savo, Camarino, and Grant, located in Somerville, New Jersey. I'm here as the attorney for the applicant, RETS Partners, LLC. This evening, I have as witnesses Mr. Robert Heibel, who I believe the board is familiar with. Also, Mr. Chris Camarata, who is a vice president of construction with Kitty Academy Domestic Franchising, LLC. I also have two other individuals present who, although will not testify, will be available for questions from the planning board. Those individuals are Jay Troutman, who is the traffic consultant for the applicant, and I believe his reports have been made available to the board, as well as Robert Berlant, who is the owner and landlord of the property. So if the board has any questions of Mr. Berlant or Mr. Troutman, certainly they're available here to answer your questions. And with that having been said, and I would also indicate that all publication and affidavit of publication and notice to abutting property owners has been submitted to the board. So with that, I would ask that Mr. Heibel be sworn and testify.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
For the public record, Robert Heibel, Van Cleef Engineering, professional engineer, surveyor, and planner in state of New Jersey. I actually appeared on informal on this property last July because we are seeking some bulk variances. It's a 2-acre lot at the southwest intersection of Raider Boulevard and Route 206. It currently houses the existing Caldwell Banker site, and the proposal is to place a Kitty Academy on the western portion of the property. In order to do that, this is an unusual lot. It actually has 3 front yard setbacks, one from Route 206, one from Raider Boulevard, and then we have the third one from the condominium road, Greenfields Lane. So we analyzed it, and there was no way possible, and I tried many mechanisms to put a building of 8,500 square feet on this property without seeking multiple front yard setbacks. So I consider that a threshold variance. So I presented it to the board that evening in July 10th of 2014. At that time, the proposed building was 20 feet from the right-of-way of Raider Boulevard and 23 feet from the westerly property line. and that's not really a right-of-way because it's a condominium road, it's a private road, but I took the property line as the closest portion of what could be considered a normal right-of-way, and that's 23 feet away. Subsequently, we were able to reduce the building by another 5 feet, so this evening the building is 25 feet setback from Raider Boulevard and 23 feet setback from the condominium property line. I presented to the planning board informally that up and down 206, starting by Amwell Road, you currently have the town center zone, and within the town center zone, the front yard setbacks are a maximum of 10 feet from the Route 206 right away, and then you go into the GA zone, which also includes the Walgreens. And although the Walgreens was not built that close to the right-of-way, that is the required setback. Once you cross Raider Boulevard, you're actually in the GB zone, so the 10 feet is no longer applicable. In this case, it's 50 feet. That's the zone that we're in, and that is the required front yard setback. After that presentation, it didn't appear to us as there was a lot of negative reaction from the board members, so the applicant decided to proceed with a full site plan approval. That's why we're here this evening. The applicant ran into a little problem with the condominium association for about 3 or 4 months. It turns out that we needed a drainage easement because that's where our water goes, but that easement was never incorporated in the condominium documents. So Mr. Berlant went out and acquired a formal drainage easement to allow his water to go exactly where it goes right now, but formally into a catch basin on that property. And I don't believe there's anybody from the condominium association here this evening, but Mr. Berlant, if you need him to testify, can explain that he met with the condominium association and their attorney, and they have full knowledge of this application. And I'm glad that they're not here opposing the application. Also, the property to the south is an existing single-family dwelling, although it's not in a residential zone. It happens to also be in the GB zone, but your ordinance says residential zone and/or use. I'm paraphrasing it. So we do have a variance that I'll go through from that particular property. I have marked 3 exhibits. The exhibit on the left is the existing features plan that was actually updated through yesterday, through the 13th. And this was after we received reports from both the township engineer and Marcia Schiffman, who I met with last week and discussed the matter yesterday. And I'll explain, and we did some revisions to the site. Once again, the site is a slightly less than 2 acres. This happens to be one of our variances. It's 1.9958 acres. It's not going to change, but that's technically a variance. And there's an existing driveway which is off of 206. This is the 4,100 plus square foot existing Caldwell Banker site. And there's an angular driveway currently onto Raider Boulevard. The proposal would be to construct the Kitty Academy on the westerly portion of the property and to take out the existing angular driveway to Raider Boulevard and propose a new driveway directly opposite the Walgreens driveway. There's an island in the middle of Raider Boulevard, and very similar to the island that's there that allows cars turning left into the Walgreens driveway. This would allow a car to stack in this area and then turn left into the proposed new driveway. It would also allow cars to exit at that location and go to 206 to the traffic signal to head either north or south, although they would probably head to the north. If you were heading to the south, you could go out the other driveway and just make a right-hand turn. And we did do a traffic study by Jay Troutman from McDonough Ray, and that was analyzed by Mr. White's office. So once again, the proposed child care center is 8,500 plus square feet. It's 25 feet from the right-of-way of Raider Boulevard. That causes variance number 1. It's 23 feet from the property line of the condominium association. And once again, I'm considering that the right-of-way, because there's no technical right-of-way for a private road, and that happens to be 23 feet. The other variances are, as I spoke about, the fact that the lot area is infinitesimally below the 2 acres. And then around the child care center, there's a proposed playground area and a fence. So there's a proposed fence which is 5 feet from the condominium property line and 5 feet from the wooded portion of the property to the south. Once again, that's an existing single-family dwelling, but once again, it happens to be within the GB zone. If that wasn't a single-family dwelling, this would not be a variance, but it is what it is. So we've applied for a variance to put the fence on the southerly property line 5 feet from the property line. That would allow enough play area for the proposed kiddie academy. One of the questions that came up at the work meeting was, for the concept is, well, would we exceed the impervious lot coverage? And the answer was then no, it still is no. The allowable impervious lot coverage in the zone is 50%. I went up to 49.5% or so, knowing exactly what the 50% would bring us to. There's one of the other items was I discussed seeking a waiver for the driveway width to go from the required 30 feet down to 25 feet. It was the suggestion of Mr. White and adhered to by the members of the planning board at the work meeting. As a child care center, the driveway off of Raider Boulevard, that first section should be 30 feet wide. That driveway is 30 feet wide. So the waiver for the 25 feet is only for the internal driveway and the driveway that fronts, the proposed driveway that fronts for the Caldwell Banker. All of the parking spaces are effectively 10 by 20, although as I usually do, rather than building a 4-foot wide sidewalk next to a 20-foot long parking space and having the car impede the sidewalk, I usually reduce that sidewalk to, I reduce the parking space to 18 feet and enlarge the sidewalk to 6 feet. That's what I've done here. It's been a waiver on every application, and the board has approved that at multiple times. When I have an island in the middle, and there is an island in the middle, I also provide the 18-foot long parking space, once again with the 2-foot available overhang that does not impede anything. We have enough parking spaces for the proposed kiddie academy and the Caldwell Banker site. And that's in accordance with the ordinance requirements. One of the questions that came up was that about 10 years ago, I presented this application to this planning board to allow for additional parking spaces for Caldwell Banker, saying that the Caldwell Banker didn't have enough parking spaces and we wanted to expand their parking. So the question comes up, and rightfully so, from your planner is, how could that be not enough at that point in time and now it is enough? Well, what occurred after the approval is Mr. Berland, who was the then and still is the owner of the property, started to go in for the appropriate permits. The management of the Caldwell Banker and how they handled their caravan days. And caravan day is when all realtors from other agencies, et cetera, come there. That was the strategic manner that they handled that was changed, and he could tell you in more detail, so that those additional parking spaces were never required. So although we had an approval from the board to expand the parking lot for Caldwell Banker and met every requirement, that was never implemented. Some of the other aspects is we submitted this to the county planning board, and we have an unconditional approval from the county planning board. We submitted to the Somerset Union Soil Conservation. We have an unconditional approval from Somerset Union. We submitted this, as I always do, to the DNR Canal Commission. They're interested, obviously, in the water quantity, quality, and the groundwater recharge. It met 2 of the 3 qualifications, and why it didn't meet the 3rd qualification, and I forgot to mention, all of the new pavement here is porous pavement. It then goes into an underground system of pipes and is ultimately then going and discharging to that catch basin that I said we needed an easement from on the condominium association. However, the Canal Commission says, well, that's fine, but you're removing a portion of the island. It happens to be 760 square feet. You haven't provided water quality for that. So to compensate for that, and we've had a discussion, we're going to actually take out 40 feet of our existing pavement, which under normal circumstances we wouldn't have to do. So that's 800 square feet, and it compensates for the removing of the island in the middle of Raider Boulevard. So by doing that and by giving them the county planning board approval and hopefully this board's approval of the preliminary and final site plan, we should be able to obtain approval, formal certification of approval from the DNR Canal Commission. We also went to the Environmental Commission.
What was their response to your request?
Verbally, they said fine. That'll be acceptable, but once again, you need to give us the resolution of approval from the Township Planning Board. Obviously, that's why we're here this evening. And we did appear before. Mr. Julian was there that night. The Township Environmental Commission. We went through all of the items. I did the presentation along with Mr. Berlant. They've issued a report dated May 11, 2015. The first 3 bullets within their report just basically outlines what I've already said regarding the stormwater, the changing of the island, and the removal of the 40 feet of pavement to be porous pavement. They cited that the allowable impervious is half, 50%, and that the proposed coverage is 49.8, which I previously stated. The last thing that we talked about was the trees. We did a tree survey of the property, and in this case, I used the tree data from 9 years ago when I did the parking expansion. We then surveyed the remaining trees in the area of the Caldwell Banker and presented that. Based on the removal, you're allowed to take within a non-residential zone, you're allowed to take down 60% of the trees. At that point, we were at 36%. You also have to mitigate with the size of the trees. That came out to 74 trees. At the time I presented the plans to the Environmental Commission, we were 20 trees short, and we had a substantial number of trees on the property. I will tell you that there was mixed discussions from the Environmental Commission, and the final report indicated that the applicant would try to achieve the 20 trees by adding 20 more additional trees on site. I said I would wait until I get the report from the township planning consultant. When Marcia issued her report, I met with her last Thursday. We talked about juicing up the landscaping, adding some more trees where it was appropriate. The A2 now shows, I will tell you, 74 trees. Now, in fairness to Mr. White and Marcia Schiffman, they haven't seen the formal copy of this, although I discussed it with both of your consultants within the last 48 hours, and I will represent to you that that new plan does have 74 trees. But it would be subject to their review. But the number of existing trees was shy by 14 or 15 trees. Some had been cut down, not just for the purpose of cutting down trees for visibility, but actually some of those were diseased. Mr. White's office reviewed that. I personally went out there on the weekend, saw that. Spent about an hour out there myself taping this off on Tuesday morning, making a determination that that was absolutely accurate. Some of the trees that were previously there 9 years ago are no longer there. And the majority location where they're not, this is A3, and the upper right-hand photograph on A3 is a photograph showing the existing driveway coming in from 206. This is the southerly property line. There was many more trees there 9 years ago. I see the stumps of some of the trees, so I looked at that area. So some of the 74 trees I've used to infill that area, so to bring that back where it used to be and to increase the buffer. Once again, that is the single-family house that's still existing to the south of that area. I will point out that one of the items from 9 years ago, Mr. Ballant actually wanted to get a building permit, and before he did that, at that point, there was a deficiency of 12 shade trees. Now, the township number at that point was still $325 per tree if you don't mitigate by putting them on site. He gave that check to the township. He's not asking for it back right now. I'm just putting on the record that although we have 74, he's paid for an additional 12. But that was his choice not to go through with that application. We received a report from the fire marshal. We have a proposed on-site hydrant and a fire connection. He's asked that we slightly shift the location of those. That is not a problem. He has two other small comments that he always does. Things like we have to get a street address for the Kitty Academy. We're certainly going to do that. So we've agreed to his comments. His report was dated March 27th. Once again, I told about the county report, which is an approval dated April 15th. The STS approval dated April 14th. The Canal Commission one was dated April 10th. Then we have the last two reports that we've received within the last week or so. The first one was from the planning consultant, and that's why we sat down. I went through the application with Marcia. She did a very thorough review, picked out some things within the design sections of the ordinance that I wasn't even aware of. At first I said, how could that be? But she's correct. Some of the items had a cross-reference to the former Architectural Review Committee standards. So some of the items that she's asked that we add on to the plan, because they do happen to be within the GB ordinance, is that we provide a sidewalk. So it's hard to see, but we are going to provide a sidewalk from the proposed Kitty Academy paralleling the driveway and going out to Raider Boulevard. Along Raider Boulevard existing, this property is about 1.5 to 2 feet lower than Raider Boulevard. Is actually a wooden retaining wall that actually parallels Raider Boulevard, but because we need to put the new driveway out, we're able to put the sidewalk contiguous with the driveway and not have any steps in order to meet the handicap provision. So we will do that. Adjacent to that, we've shown a proposed bicycle rack. Our client said yes. I quite frankly said, will parents be driving their kids to the child care center? And then the response was, well, some of the staff might like to ride bicycles. Well, she's absolutely correct. So we've added the bicycle rack as part of this element. She pointed out that the lights were actually 1 foot too high when we submitted them. We had a consultant do that for LED bulbs. They have to be lowered by a feet. So we're not seeking by 1 foot. So we are not seeking any design waivers from the lighting plan, and any approval that this board were to grant would have to abide by that. The other thing was, and when I personally went out there, she asked if we could continue the street trees along Raider Boulevard. There are 3 street trees that are existing from our driveway, our current driveway between there and 206. I taped and touched each one, and they happen to be about 35 to 40 feet on center, which is the normal street tree. There are additionally 6 additional street trees between there and the condominium road. So although I agreed during our meeting that we would add the street trees, when I actually went out there, they're existing. So we don't have to. And by the way, those street trees would not count as part of the 74 tree mitigation trees. They would be in excess of that. Now, if when we move the driveway through, one of the trees is going to get knocked out. So if there is a gap and we have to put 1 street tree back, we certainly will. Once again, we've added some landscaping. Now, one of the comments is, and this is an architectural type comment, but we just met at my office for about an hour before I came over here. When we submitted the plans, we have a proposed fence along the play area, which is the westerly property line, and then again on the southerly property line. That is not a solid fence. You can see through that fence. It's a black wrought iron fence. The question was, can you look at the condominium road and see what effect? So I took 2 pictures on Tuesday morning, and that's the lower 2 pictures. And that shows that these are arborvitae. I measured myself. They're about 8 to 10 feet back from the curb line. They more or less parallel the property line. The problem is that there's a lot of high growth where you can't see through, but the lower 10 feet or so of the trees goes away, so you can actually see through those arborvitae. They've grown for, I don't know how long Huntington Park's been in existence, but you can see through. So based on that, my conversation yesterday was, Marcia, we could do one of 2 things. We could either, within our own property, plant another row of arborvitae or white pines or some evergreen trees on the other side, or, and the preferred treatment would be to provide a solid fence rather than a fence where the people that are driving on the condominium road would actually be able to see the children within the play area. Tonight, the applicant has agreed.
Mic's off. The button on your mic. The green.
Yes? Okay. I'm sorry. So we've agreed to change it from a what I call the see-through fence to a solid white vinyl fence that'll be there. So you won't be able to see the visibility of the children that are playing in the play area. And in actuality, while we're doing that, even though this is a wooded area, we can actually wrap the solid fence around on the southern portion of the playground also. Who knows whatever's going to be built on that property in the future. So I thought we could do it completely in the L shape. So we've agreed to that. The other issue that came up from an architectural issue is, and when I spoke to her last, I had not gotten a yes or no from my client, but they have a proposed sign that's shown on the architectural plans. And if they wanted a waiver, I wasn't going to speak to that. I will tell you that within the last hour, they've agreed to lower the sign. They had on the outside of the building, and it's on the submitted architectural plan, I think it's community starts here, and that would be, we think, a second sign. It's lettering on the building, and the proposed sign. Here, it's green.
Can you, why don't you use the one that's up right there?
How's that? Better? Okay. So they've agreed to lower the sign so that the facade sign, which isn't too big, but the location was higher than the ordinance allowed, and that would have been a waiver. They've agreed, Marcia, to place that over the doorway, as I suggested that I would try to get them to agree to. So those were the areas that were in Marcia's report. Once again, that's dated April 30th. And the last report is from Mr. White. As Bill knows, I always discuss everything with him. I kept him up to speed on Marcia's elements regarding the landscaping, et cetera. And actually, it was his office that first discovered, as I agree, that some of the landscaping along the southerly property line is no longer there. So we've had a chance to go through Mr. White's comments, and I don't disagree with any of his comments. So any approval of this board, we would have to condition on completeness and perfecting the revised plans in accordance with his report of May 6th. Now, one of his comments is that the applicant shall provide a written, but we're going to do a verbal tonight, of the proposed use. And that's the second witness from Kitty Academy, telling how the academy runs, how many students, how many children, the classroom makeup, not only the hours, but how the operational, and that's important for the board to see. So I'm leaving that to the second witness.
Why are we, is there do we have an ordinance regarding do we have an ordinance regarding the fence that the kids can't be seen playing, or?
No.
I mean, I don't see the objection to having the wrought iron. Architecturally, I think it's going to look a lot better. And I've made it vocally known that I'm sick and tired of these white plastic fences that we've got everywhere in town. They're harmful.
Well, Steve, that's why I took the picture. Here it is. The fence would be like 5 feet to 10 feet, depending where, on the other side of this row of trees. My statement is that the growth of the trees, the current growth of the trees, you're going to be able to see through, even though they're evergreen trees.
I mean, the board's concerned. Are we concerned about seeing the kids play? I'm not being a pain. I'm just.
No, I didn't know whether the ownership wanted to screen the kids because parents might want that. I don't know.
No, actually, that's why I said this
Well, who
was
brought
the
this
toughest.
up? Why are we bringing this up? Well, then, why are we bringing this up?
Well, the ordinance requires a buffer from residential districts.
Well, does a buffer have to be can a buffer be opaque or semi-opaque, as a wrought iron fence would be? I mean, why does it have to be an ugly white vinyl fence? Ugly, white, ugly. Did I say that enough?
Fence, not ugly white.
Yeah, you see the one that's on Hamilton Boulevard, it's ugly. You see the one that separates the medical center from across the street from the other the other children's place, that white, ugly fence. This is going to be another white, ugly fence off of 206.
Would you feel more comfortable?
Black iron, wrought iron, black white iron. That makes me feel very comfortable, considering the architectural splendor that these guys normally build. I think it looks
Robert?
a lot better matched with black wrought iron.
We actually, and I wasn't going to do this, I like to appease the board, not seek too many variances or waivers, but we actually have 10 copies of a fence, and we purposely did this on this drawing so we could mark this in as A4 and then hand it around. It shows the black fence to see through it, and in the background, this is at a different site, it happens to have the white total vinyl fence, so you have one picture with both fences shown in there.
I guess the issue is, Marcia, can we just, is there an issue, what makes up that buffer?
It's a variance. The board could grant a variance if they don't think it's needed. You don't have houses right.
It's the issue of what constitutes it. Yeah, what constitutes, that's what I want to know.
Buffer. The fences on the rest of the property, were they black or white?
They're all black, correct? All the fences are proposed to be black.
So why was this shown as white?
During our discussion, I thought that if we put a solid fence, you were suggesting that it shouldn't be a black solid fence. But once again, the color and the type of the fence is clearly up to the board. The applicant at this point is willing to do whatever it takes.
I think that okay.
They're all the same.
They're all the same. Okay. As I guess we're supposed to have one, but we're not keeping it. Okay, so here's the thing with buffering between a residential zone and a non-residential zone. What's the point of the buffering? To buffer the residential zone from whatever unpleasantness of the use in the non-residential zone. In this case, the unpleasantness of the use is playing children. So that might not require a solid white fence. Now, you could say, but in the future, the property could be used for something else, but I mean, right now, it does not seem that the non-residential use in question is so unpleasant that it requires an extreme buffer.
I also need to just make a mental note. I'm not testifying for the applicant, but I know of Mr. Berlantz and his company's style and expertise. And I just feel that a black wrought iron fence is going to look a lot nicer than a white plastic fence.
Well, yeah, I mean, it will, but I think that the principle of what are you buffering is important here, and if what you're talking about buffering is playing children, you probably could go with a less intense buffer and say, you know what, that's proportional to the non-commercial, non-residential use, since playing children is also a residential use.
But we're talking about aesthetics, we're not talking about security, right?
Right, we're not.
I mean, security, you guys wanted something like that for security, that's
I'd be
different
more
than.
concerned about security than aesthetics, but.
Yeah.
And in this case, although it's a residential zone, there's no residences between the non-resident. It's the roadway.
That's another thing, yes.
Yeah,
Well,
I'd be more concerned about that than aesthetics.
Isn't the applicant's alternative proposal a black wrought iron fence with plantings on the side of the applicant?
That's possible. Once again,
I thought you indicated, Bob, that you'd be willing to put another row of trees in.
I don't like to put.
No, it's one or the other. It was in other words, if the desire of the board was for an intense buffer, the two ways to make an intense buffer or a dense buffer would be A, the white fence, or B, another row of plantings at a lower level to fill in. Those are the two ways to make a dense buffer.
Right, but couldn't you do that with the wrought iron fence and then just add a row of trees?
They're saying
You
want
have to have
another row of plantings and a wrought iron fence.
Well, you have to have the fence
I know
anyway.
you have to have the fence for the kids, yes.
Well, one of the, if I may interject, if you look at the plan, and maybe Bob, you can show them, the distance between the back of the building and that fence is very narrow.
it's only 18 feet.
Right, and you're looking at it for a play area. I mean,
Yes.
you could put plantings in 3 feet or 4 feet.
Yeah, we would probably, in order to accomplish that, because you have a vertical ground elevation, I could put a plant there, but it wouldn't buffer anything because the ground's there. I'd probably have to reduce that play area from 18 feet to maybe about 3 feet to 15 feet on that side in order to put the wrought iron fence and then some vertical arborvitae, because an evergreen's just not going to fit in there.
Okay, was that issue raised of the buffering in your discussion with the association?
No, it was not.
No, they were worried about the water, right?
As far as I'm concerned, whatever.
Yeah.
And we showed them the plan.
Whatever works.
Yeah.
For aesthetically pleasing, if the association's not concerned about it.
I think with fencing here, you got wrought and you got overwrought, and you probably don't need overwrought in this case. So, you don't like the Great Wall of Hillsborough on Hamilton Road?
It's going to be it's the beginning of our.
Yeah. No, I know.
Our downtown.
Yes.
You know, and
I agree.
Mr. Chairman, is it the board's pleasure to have a black wrought iron fence?
you taking a vote?
Not
I'm
so much
asking
a
for
vote, but a
consensus.
consensus. I'm looking for nods or shakes.
I'd say leave it up to them.
Nods?
Yes.
Nods. We have nods. So there you go. Okay? All right.
I'm done.
We chose wrought rather than overwrought. Very good.
Steve,
Please proceed.
I'd also like to have the opinion of the neighbor to the south of you, exactly what kind of fence they would like.
Oh, is that person here?
No, they're not here, but I think that's a wooded area. It's already got its own buffer, so if we're going to keep one as wrought iron, we would keep both sides as wrought iron.
Their actual house is way up, even closer to 206 than
Yeah, their
Coldwell
house is,
Banker.
right, way back
Yeah.
where, and we're way back here.
Yeah.
Bob, I just want to be clear about the turning, the driveway on Raider Boulevard.
Yes.
Didn't hear you mention a left-hand turn coming out, so going west on Raider.
That turn would be allowed. All turning maneuvers would be allowed.
Okay, that,
We're not restricting any. And quite frankly, that's why we have our traffic consultant, if we go into that venue of discussion.
that's my only
Well, we'll ask the traffic consultant about the turns and all that.
Yeah.
They do it out of Walgreens.
Okay.
Motion over here.
Bob, were you done?
I'm done.
Okay.
I got a couple of quick questions.
Well, I was going to go to our,
Okay.
actually, our consultants first. Marcia, any other comments? I know that Bob was addressing your...
Right, and it was quite thorough, but I do have a couple other things.
Sure.
Just from the report. You talked about pedestrian sidewalks.
Oh, you want to pause? Oh, okay.
Change the mic.
Oh,
whoa, reverb.
Okay.
Bob's doing
Number
a remix.
2, Derek Jeter.
Are you doing a remix, Bob?
I wish. Okay.
You indicated that there would be a sidewalk from Kitty Academy to Raider Boulevard.
Yes.
Are you also proposing a sidewalk from Caldwell Banker to Route 206? Because that would be, the way the ordinance reads, it's the entrance to each building shall accommodate pedestrian access from streets.
Yeah, we
Parking.
discussed that possibility, quite frankly, Mr. Berlant, and I think he's correct on this. All these years, that wasn't there. The sidewalk is along 206. He doesn't believe that he would have walk-in real estate traffic. Whereas, that's his opinion. I'm not saying I wouldn't do it. I'm saying I could accomplish that physically from an engineering viewpoint. But that's his opinion, that there would not be walk-in real estate. People are not going to go to the real estate office on foot to buy houses.
I guess we try to accommodate all users
Yes,
and
I know.
pedestrians in
I
the
understand.
town. I understand what Mr. Berlant is saying.
Yes.
The use may change, that the real estate office may become a different use that may accommodate different kinds of traffic.
Mr. Heibel, do people ever, the employees in that building, do they ever want to walk out, maybe walk across the street to use the CVS or any other stores in the mall across the way? So it made it not people walking into the building, but people walking out of that building to go possibly to the stores across the way.
I'll quite frankly ask Mr. Berlant, even though he hasn't been sworn in yet.
Because obviously this is town center, so there's going to be applications for people wanting to go out and enjoy.
I understand your comment. The question is, would you provide a sidewalk, and I know that you would, if necessary, paralleling your driveway out to the 206 sidewalk. That would allow people to walk along 206 and ultimately to the traffic signal and then try to cross to go to Walgreens. He doesn't have a problem with doing it.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Permeable area, not a problem?
At the end of the day, when I do all this and I add the extra sidewalk, I was so close, there may be a need to pull one parking space off, because we're not going to seek a variance from the impervious surface.
Okay. All right.
Mr.
Okay.
Heibel? Maybe just my opinion, is there a sidewalk going this way?
Yes, John, but with
Is there a walkway?
that's the problem. That's where the retaining wall is.
Oh, there's a retaining wall there?
Yes.
Just
So
trying
that
to
would
save
have-
you steps.
The steps, so I'm trying not to do the steps.
Okay.
Okay, my second question, you're going to be revising your landscape plan.
Yes.
And one of the items that we didn't talk about was the parking in the front yard, which is a waiver.
Yes.
And the ordinance requires that this be screened. And what are you proposing for that parking now? Because there was limited screening shown
We
before.
could put, although it's not shown on there, low ground cover in this area, maybe 2.5 feet higher. So if you recommend something, we would agree to do that.
Low
There is
ground
a-
just put a white fence up?
was- Well, I suggested repeating the stone wall that's on the
Yes, you did.
Walgreens property,
And
but
and I
didn't
think
get
what I
much of a
and I think what I
response
said,
for
Marcia,
that.
was that we didn't want to put the wall up, but that we would put some shrubs. So we will do that. Yes.
Okay, we'll work it out.
Yes.
Which kind, it should be
Yes.
evergreen.
Yes.
And fine.
Okay.
The dumpster, how is that being screened?
We did show, you can't hardly see it on this, but you'll see on the detail, we did show additional landscaping around there. We had our landscape architect do this. And I said, I don't know a cotton Easter from an Easter cotton, so I let him pick the species.
Okay, so we'll take a look at that.
Yes,
when you
absolutely.
submit the plan.
Yes.
Okay. I think you've covered it
I
pretty
forgot about
thoroughly.
the one hedgerow paralleling the parking on 206, so you're absolutely right. That's the one I just agreed to. I forgot about that one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bill?
As always, Mr. Heibel's very efficient. We discussed a lot of our comments. It's a 6-page memo, but to sum it up, I think I only have one question at this point for him. The dumpster, where's it located?
It's located on the Raider Boulevard in the middle on the second one. And we had this discussion tonight about the times of the pickup and whether or not we needed a second dumpster. They don't feel that they do. It's now Republic. They've changed names several times, but I believe that they do pick up twice a week within Hillsborough. So if necessary, they'll go to the twice a week pickup.
And as far as it's really located closer to the real estate office as opposed to Kitty Academy, I'm assuming Kitty Academy is probably going to generate more trash than the real
I
estate
think
office
you're
does.
right, but once again, we had the representative, and they're here tonight, and they think that it's satisfactory for their use also.
Okay, I just want to point out it's over 120 feet away, so in the wintertime, especially after the winter we just had, it's a long haul to
Yeah.
haul all that garbage.
It's got to learn sometime when to take the garbage out.
Kids. Mine are in the 20s.
They'll put
they
behind the
still
white
have it,
fence.
so.
My driveway's 270 feet, so it's short to me.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, a little recreation in 19th century London, have the kids haul the trash, yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. The board, other comments?
I just had a couple of things I just want to clarify.
Sure.
So we talked about, you addressed the DNR canal in terms of the removal of the 720 feet off the grass island.
Right.
But I also know that to replace it, we're talking about pervious surface. So I know we talked in the Environmental Commission, just for the record, and we kind of never know how to advise people, but in terms of the maintenance of the pervious surface itself, it's always an issue. I mean, especially in this situation because the property's not that big. So, I mean, how would you guys propose to maintain the porosity of that pavement?
We actually submitted a maintenance plan that the applicant in this case would have to abide by.
Okay.
It's the same maintenance plan that the Canal Commission has previously approved for JK Design. So I knew exactly what they wanted in it. and any approval of, by any formal approval by the Canal Commission will include that the applicant has to adhere to that maintenance plan for the porous pavement.
And do you know what that is, Bob? Like, can you give me just a...
Yeah, basically, you don't put a seal coat on it.
Okay.
You don't let it become from a porous pavement to a non-porous pavement. You have to vacuum it periodically and don't spill things on it. I'm making it as simple as I can, but yes.
Okay. So that would be included in terms
Oh,
of...
yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Mr. Julian, that also gets filed at the county, so future owners of the property, it's readily discoverable for them, because one of the biggest problems we had is there's an O&M manual out there, but it doesn't get carried over to the next owner. Well, we've asked that it be somehow filed at the county, and we've done that with JK Design also.
Yeah, the first couple that we had,
Right.
it was like an experiment.
I remember that.
We wrote it up, they would revise it, the other agency would revise it. Well, I've done about 4 of these now, so I know all the language.
Right, and we're working through it, because I remember JK,
Yes.
and I know we started talking about this, but I don't remember exactly, what that plan was. So, as we develop it, we don't have a problem with that as long as we maintain it.
It was actually submitted to the planning board as part of our application package also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I have.
Any other questions from this side? No. This side for Bob? No? Okay, I guess we can open the public hearing then. Motion to open public?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any questions from the public for Mr. Heibel? Uh-huh. The microphone, that one or the other one?
Susan, this makes 2 meetings in a row that you were my only public.
I don't want you to feel like.
No?
Susan Gulliford, Hunt Cobble Road. I have a question about the removal of the section of the island. Either, was it 760 or 800 square feet? Okay. I remember when Walgreens went in and there was some discussion because they took down those mature trees. They replaced them with small trees. They let them die. Skip Crawls, in one of his last appearances, asked them to please replace them. Are any trees going to be brought down from that island?
No.
So there's nothing that can be done? They're just...
No, actually, I took a picture, the upper left-hand corner of A3 is a picture across from our site. It shows the island, it shows the existing driveway. There's one light pole that we might have to move, but there's no landscaping in that whole area.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Mr. Heibel, thank you. Call your next witness.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, we call...
Microphone.
Sorry. Is this one working here? Yeah. This one?
We think so.
At this time, we would call Chris Camarata, who's Vice President of Construction for Kitty Academy Domestic Franchising, Inc., LLC, I'm sorry.
Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. State your full name, spelling your last name.
Chris Camarata.
Microphone, please.
Yes. Thank you.
Chris Camarata. Commarota.
Thank you.
Chris, if you would just tell the board what your role is with Kitty Academy.
I'm Vice President of Construction for Kitty Academy. I've been with Kitty Academy for 15 years and assisted franchisees opening more than 120 locations throughout the country. I've provided supporting testimony throughout the country and including New Jersey and 7 different townships or cities in New Jersey.
How many Kitty Academies are there in the state of New Jersey presently?
We've got 19 facilities in New Jersey and 136 that are franchised throughout the country.
Can you tell the board how the Kitty Academies operate, and specifically how the one here in Hillsborough, if it's approved, would operate, in terms of numbers of students or children and that kind of thing?
Sure. The proposed Kitty Academy of Hillsborough would operate Monday through Friday, 6:30 to 6:30, There may be some special events that occur on a Saturday or maybe an evening where a parent's night out, that type of thing. The proposed capacity for the facility is 141 children. We'd have 19 staff members for the total building.
Is that full-time and part-time, or is that full-time for the staff?
Well, we would be licensed by the State of New Jersey Department of Children and Families Office of Licensing, so the maximum capacity at any given time would be 141 children.
What are the ages of the children that would participate or be involved with Kitty Academy?
Children range in age from 6 weeks to 12 years of age. The 6 to 12 are our before and after school children, and the rest of the balance of the facility is basically full-time care.
How do the children arrive and leave?
Yeah, use that other microphone.
Test.
Can you tell the board how the children arrive at the academy, how they leave the academy?
Generally, children start arriving at 6:30 in the morning. Our peak hours are 7 to about 9 o'clock, where the bulk of the children come into the facility. Staff also arrive in phases, so it's not a staff or children arriving all at once. They come in through stages as the population builds. Then for the balance of the day, we're fully at capacity. We're fully staffed. Children then in the afternoon begin leaving around 3:30, with the peak hours ranging around 4 o'clock, 4 to 6, and last children leaving at about 6:30.
Did you say that the days of operation are Monday through Friday?
Monday through Friday operation.
Okay. Is there anything else that you would want to tell the board about the operation of Kitty Academy?
Well, the drop-off, parents are required to escort their children into the facility. They go through a secured entry in the morning and a secured entry in the evening to pick up those children. Each parent would have a PIN code for the children. That's how we understand how children arrive, and we can testify to the peak times and what have you. Parents are also required to pick up the children in the afternoon, enter through the facility, and then leave. We'd also have, for the before and after school children, parents would drop them off in the morning. We'd have a bus that would take them off to school, and then in the afternoon, bus would pick up from school and then drop them off in the afternoon. And then parents would pick them up from the facility.
And this bus, is this bus owned and operated by Kitty Academy or its franchisee?
By the franchisee.
Okay. Can you describe what the size of the bus or how big a bus we're talking about?
It's a 15-passenger bus. It fits into a parking space, so it occupies one space during the day.
Are the children greeted by staff when they arrive at the academy?
By the bus?
Well, no, by staff.
When children are dropped off in the morning, a parent escorts the child right to the classroom. When they're picking up, parents have to go to the classroom, sign the child out, and take the child out to the facility, escort their child to the car, and leave.
And the staff is present when that transfer takes place, is that right?
That is correct.
I have no further questions of the witness if the board has any questions.
Any questions from our professionals?
Other than the 15-passenger bus, are there any of the larger buses coming from the school, from the sending district or anything like that? Or
It's a possibility. We haven't looked into that as of yet.
I'll have to ask the traffic engineer, see if he's looked at the turn template for that, just make sure that the bus can get through there. So when he gets up here, we'll ask him that question.
Okay.
So all parents have to park and escort their children. There's no sort of circular drop-off or any route that would drop off. They have to park in a spot and escort the child in?
Parents have to stop, park, escort the child in, and then leave. They're there about 10 minutes, so each parking space turns over roughly 6 times an hour.
Go ahead, Marcia.
Yes. What I didn't realize before, but you have these large play areas on the site. What kind of ground cover do you typically have in these play areas, and do you have equipment that typical equipment that you have installed? Because the plans don't show that.
We do have play equipment that's installed. We'll put soft surfacing underneath, which is a permeable surface. It allows water to pass through, and then grass outside of the what we call use zones or the fall zones of that equipment.
So is the plan going to be updated to show the equipment that you're doing as part of the site plan? I don't know. I forgot to ask the engineer that.
Well, that would be submitted as part of the permit process.
Yeah, I guess the play equipment, is that part of the certificate of occupancy and the construction and permit stuff? Yeah, the play equipment, I don't know.
I forgot to put it in my review, and it's interesting because I'm working on a design as a volunteer for a playground for a daycare center, and we're weighing what to put on the site and getting the permits for it. So maybe, should that be part of your application?
I think that's part of the
As of right now, I had asked that question just to see what the ground surface was, but we normally don't show the individual play equipment. And when I asked them, they hadn't chosen all of that at that point. I don't know if they have right now, but when I asked, it wasn't chosen.
Well, I guess for our purposes, it's important to know that all the ground cover will be permeable and not paved anywhere for any of this. Okay.
That's correct.
Okay.
But you're going to have to put the equipment in with a foundation, secure it in the ground, which has some impermeable surface.
Well, it doesn't come to the surface, so we would have a pipe, typically a 4-inch pipe coming out of the ground in a footing.
Can you tell the board what kinds of equipment, play equipment typically is used by Kiddie Academy franchisees?
Climbing equipment. We don't use swings. We don't use those types of things or tire swings or anything like that. So it's all professionally made. It's all CPSI and ATSM tested and installed by certified playground installers.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, can I suggest that we take a short break? Apparently, we're having sound issues again.
Okay. I don't know. Kaz is kind of like, I don't know if you can solve them. No guarantees, but we'll take a few minutes. Good for Lucille anyway, okay? Recess.
I was told that it's my understanding from speaking to Mr. Ballant that actually is those fences, the aluminum actually lasts longer than the wrought iron.
Yes.
So just wanted to clarify that for the record to make sure that there was no misunderstanding.
That's fine. Thank you.
Sure. If there are any other questions
Yes.
from
Any
Mr.
questions
Camerata?
for the witness?
I have one. The existing plan has, let's say, X amount of parking spaces, and I think the comment before was Colwell Banker could use some more parking, or they had more than enough parking, I'm not sure, but then on the proposed plans, it looks like it's still the block of parking spaces similar to what's on the existing, so you're adding maybe twice as many or doubling the existing to the front parking. We have the back parking, then that additional in the back for Kiddie Academy. You know, my question is, with those, there's about 19 spaces in that westernmost parking area, is that enough for the amount of flow of the parents coming in and parking and letting their kids in, or has that been thought out?
I'll leave that to the traffic engineer, but
Okay.
Well,
And the ordinance, this just cites the ordinance, but also we have to ask Kiddie Academy, and we did. But the ordinance has a requirement on a child care center. The requirement is based on the number of children, and it's one space for every 10 children, plus one space for every employee. So there's 19 employees. So mathematically, Kiddie Academy requires to have 34. The Caldwell Banker only requires 15, so that's 49. We have actually 4 extra spaces. In reality, that middle area there, that's going to be used by both Caldwell Banker and Kitty Academy.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for this witness? Okay, Counselor, going to your next witness. Thank you.
Yes, as I said, we have our traffic consultant who's available to answer any questions you might have with respect to his report in connection with this matter. I think there was a question already
I did hear a couple, so that's why I came up. Jay Troutman.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do. Jay Troutman, Troutman, licensed professional engineer, specializing in traffic engineering. I've been practicing for 28 years now.
You can proceed, Mr. Troutman. Thank you.
So I did hear a couple questions. We did do the fully detailed study that was submitted and reviewed by your professionals. I guess the first question, Mr. White's, regarding the full-size school bus.
Mm-hmm.
We actually have a fire truck circulating through the property already, and it's a very similar wheelbase, almost identical. So the school bus, if it were to come on the property, it could circulate properly. So I can confirm that. The second question I heard was regarding a left turn out of the driveway across from Walgreens, a left turn out of the site to go west on Raider Boulevard. That was part of our analysis. We did a standard level of service, capacity, gap analysis of the flows on Raider versus the turns coming out of the center. I can tell you that we expect about 15 left turns out of that driveway during a peak hour. So that's one car every 4 minutes, if you average that out. There are more than adequate gaps and brakes provided in the Raider Boulevard traffic stream to accommodate that level of left turn safely. And it actually comes out to be a level of service B on a scale of A to F. It's a B, so it's more than adequate for this type of loading that we anticipate at this center.
Okay, work through that number for me. So 15 lefts an hour. Your peak is basically, you got a 2-hour window where you got all your peak for the 140 kids. Are you assuming most of them are making a right out of that?
We're assuming the rights will be about twice as high because the rights take you back to 206, either to go left, to go north or straight across, especially in the morning, Raider Boulevard, if there was people dropping kids off and then going straight across to work or something like that. And you also have the right turnout, the direct right turnout on 206 south for people that might be leaving the site to go to work that way or leaving to return home that way.
How many people do you anticipate trying to make a left going north on 206 into the Caldwell Banker lot?
That's about, again, it's around 15 an hour, plus or minus.
Is there a wide enough second lane if there starts to get a backup of traffic from a safety standpoint of turning left into that lot? Because that's kind of at the very end where that road widens, and then it's going to be just one lane there.
Yes, there's plenty of pavement for somebody to make a left. I mean, that's what they do today at that driveway.
Well, I'm just looking at the volume of cars that may be. That's what I'm saying. One every once in a while is different than 3 or 4 or 5.
Yeah, and it's kind of one every once in a while still. I mean, it's one every 4 minutes again on average. And there is adequate sight lines and areas for those vehicles to make those maneuvers.
The driveway out of Caldwell Banker to 206, is it, I've never been in on that property. Is it already signed, no left turn onto 206?
Yeah, there's no left allowed out onto 206,
Okay.
correct.
So that would just remain, okay. I noticed it's not in your study, so good.
So, I'm sorry, and if you were mentioning this before, I just want to make sure. So the two that on Raider that are facing each other, is there a way that, to ensure that I guess either side coming out is not sort of encroaching into the other lane? Is there some type of road line or some divider that keeps each of the groups in a lane so that they're...
Yes, the lefts into Walgreens and the lefts into the property would be made inside of each other, I would call it.
Right.
And you could, do what I call a cat track striping to guide those motorists to make sure they're inside of each other. That's what's done sometimes to reinforce that, but it is designed that way.
I like it.
Yeah.
They're stupid out of the equation.
All right, just so you don't
Okay.
have somebody...
Yeah, eliminate stupid, that's good. Can we do that? No?
Did you have anything else from your point of view to say, or just answering questions?
No, those were the
Okay.
main questions.
Any other
I had.
questions?
Just real quick, I mean, did you consider, like, in the morning, because typically, I mean, both of those lanes are packed. So if you have to make a left out of Kitty Academy, how long would it take you to make that left to get through 2 lanes of traffic?
Yes, we did. That was the hour that we analyzed, and I personally observed how that signal operates in the morning. There is a lot of loading, especially with the long cycle that DOT's running along 206, but it breaks up, and there are opportunities to make that left.
So you go across 2 lanes of traffic, make the left onto Raider. There's ample opportunity for cars to do that?
Yes.
Not all the time. I guess your testimony is that there are breaks. I mean, obviously, I know because I commute that way that sometimes there is no opportunity to get out. But you're saying that with systematic observation that there are times when there's opportunity to get out.
Yes, because when the traffic signal releases the Raider Boulevard traffic and it clears out,
Okay.
that meters the flow.
Okay. Any other questions? Bill, yes, go ahead.
Hey, Mr. Trump, can you describe the queuing that's going to happen on that left turn in off of Raider?
Yeah, the left turn in, the lane is actually going to be empty most of the time. The typical queue would be about 1 or 0.
And how much room do we have there?
Let's see. I'm going to have to measure.
It's okay.
It can hold 3 vehicles.
So your testimony is that we'll never have an issue with overqueuing?
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, just a curious one. On your report, the study period of 0.25 hours, when we're looking at AM or PM, can you tell us what time block that comprises or comprised?
It's actually a full hour of volume. So in the morning, it's 7:15 to 8:15 a.m. is the peak hour, and the afternoon is 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. And what that 0.25 is what they do is they take the full hour of volumes and they try to forecast the worst 15 minutes.
Okay.
So that's just a factor to telling the software to do that.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you. No other questions for
Thank
right
you.
now?
Thank you, Jake. Mr. Chairman and members of the board, we have no further witnesses at this time. If you have any other questions, we'd be more than happy to try to answer them for you.
Eric, should we put on the record the testimony about the water agreement with the neighbor?
Yes, that was actually in one of the consultants' reports, I think Mr. White's report, that we were asked to furnish the township with a copy of that drainage easement.
And have we?
I'm sorry?
Has the applicant furnished the township with that easement?
It will, in order to perfect the approval.
As one of the conditions?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay.
For the record, how many handicap spots in the location?
There are 2 handicap spots for Kitty Academy, plus a handicap spot for Caldwell Banker, and that's in conformance with the ADA requirements.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I do have that drainage easement, the deed of drainage easement is dated February 26, 2015, and I do have a copy available if you want to mark it into evidence right now.
All you have to do, Mr. Grant, is provide it to our office or to the township.
Fine, we'll do that.
Thank you.
Okay. Any questions from you, Eric, or comments? No? Any final thoughts, Marcia?
I think they addressed my comments and questions, and they will hopefully be reflected in revised plans that will be submitted for planning review and engineering review.
Okay. Phil?
Nothing additional, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Board members, any final questions for anybody?
I just wanted to make sure if we determine that we wanted to put some type of that striping down for the lanes to ensure that that was possible, that the applicant would be responsible.
I think it's a pretty good idea. Okay. Mr. Delcar, actually, when I go to my office every morning, the tracks are there. So I like the idea, so we will put that in there.
Thank you.
Okay. Good.
I come up with one every now and then.
Okay, so I guess we can have the motion to close public.
Motion to close. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Motion to,
Let Eric phrase it, and then we can just, go ahead.
To-
Nah, it's all right, go ahead.
Mr. Cohen wants to play lawyer, which is more than welcome.
Go ahead.
Motion to adopt
Let him earn his money, Steve.
file number 15-PB-06 SRV Block 178.02 Lot 421 with all conditions agreed upon by the applicant during the pendency of testimony, as well as concurrence with all of the reports of the planning consultant, the engineer, the fire official, and other township officials.
Second.
Wait, you got it. So,
First.
you got first and first.
I don't have that privilege.
You move it,
Yeah,
Steve.
the motion.
So moved.
Made the motion.
Mr.
So
Lapani's moved it.
Okay,
As stated.
okay.
Second by Mr. Cohen.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Wagner?
Yes.
Mr. Julian?
Yes.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Dr. Maruli?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Lapani?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Cohen?
Yes.
Committeeman Delcor?
Yes.
Chairman Dr. Sreesen?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We just need to do one more thing, which is to cancel the business meeting, which is May 28th, because we have nothing for the agenda. Is there a motion to cancel?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. May 28th is canceled, so we'll see you again on June 4th for a regular meeting. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Guys, later.